Here both sides start pushing their pawns. Anand goes f4, but Magnus pushes pawn to b4, increasing the pressure. Now Anand has several choices, but he chooses a takes on b4, and after Magnus recaptures, he chooses to trade the rooks, and after knight takes on e6, we get the move pawn to f5. It's looking like Anand arrived at the destination and he is ready to demolish these pawns in front of the king and get checkmate on him. But here, Magnus plays the calm move pawn to b3. He hesitates on taking this pawn because this doesn't create anything special. However, this pawn on b3 is 2 squares away from queening and is defended at the same time, so this is a real threat for white. Here Anand continues with queen to f4 and Magnus brings the knight back, knight to c7, with the idea of transferring this knight back to e8 and defend the critical square g7. Now Anand is looking to break down the position and shatter black's defense with the move pawn to f6, but Magnus locks down the king side with g6. Now queen h4 has a real threat. The idea is simple. Queen h6, queen g7, good game. But Magnus has it all prepared, playing knight to e8, and now this checkmate is no longer available. We get the move queen h6, however, this isn't scary at all because the knight defends the mate. And here Magnus Carlsen goes and proves his own counterplay by playing the move pawn to b2. This sneaky pawn suddenly becomes a hero, and he is 1 square away from becoming a queen. From the outside, it looks terrifying. White has a clear plan to deliver checkmate. Rook to f4, rook to h4, and queen to h7, good game. However, keeping an eye on this pawn is mandatory. We get the moves rook to f4, and this allows Magnus Carlsen to promote into a second queen. And now it's a check, so the idea has to be postponed. Here, Viswanathan Anand overlooked a very important move. He should have played bishop to f1. This doesn't happen in the game, but this was the only way to save it and continue from there. Here, Magnus has to find his own solution in order to not get checkmated. So the only way to continue the game for Magnus is to play the move queen to d1, with the idea that after rook to h4, now he has the brilliant queen to h5, sacrificing his own newly promoted queen, and even if it's taken with the knight, we get knight takes, g takes, and after rook to h5, suddenly there is no more pawn on g6, and Magnus is free to play bishop to f5, defending everything. The bishop defends h7 and the knight defends g7. So this position is somehow equal. But instead of playing bishop to f1, Viswanathan Anand blundered and played knight to f1. In the press conference after the game, he explained that knight to f1 was played to anticipate the same idea that I showed you earlier. So here, if black were to play queen to d1, we get rook to h4, queen to h5, and now things took a different turn because we can take the queen, and after g takes back on h5, now Anand has the move knight to e3 with the idea of jumping either to f5 or d5 and then putting the knight on e7 to finish him off. But knight to f1 is a blunder because now queen to d1 is no longer the idea, but Magnus simply plays queen to e1, not allowing rook to h4 at all, because he will simply give up the queen for the rook, and here Anand resigned. The next game of the match ended in a draw after a long fight, which meant that Magnus Carlsen was crowned as the new world chess champion. This match in 2013 showed how Magnus rose to the top, taking advantage of key moments and playing extremely strong chess throughout the match. If you liked today's video, please leave a like, comment your favorite move, and subscribe to the channel.